I have a theory that Yuji's domain will tear Sukuna's soul from Megami and place it inside himself, leading to a battle like the one he lost that resulted in his binding vow with Sukuna. Now, how would you feel if a showdown like this with Yuji's soul overcoming Sukuna's is how the fight ends?
Sometimes you gotta close the door to open a window.
Honestly, I think that would be pretty fucking poetic. I've had that theory, well, sort of that theory for a long time. I think me and Kyle Breeze talked about this way back when on a stream once. But I have the theory that somehow I imagine the fight or the soul or the series would end up ending within the soul. As you guys know, if you've been around here a long time, I am a slut for the theory of the soul. I mean, look, I created a whole ass mind map that literally connected the dots for everything in this series that was to do with the soul. Like, look at this mind map. Look at this mind map. Tell me that this is a healthy obsession. It's not. It's not a healthy obsession at all. Like, that's a whole ass mind map going through all of the information that is to do with the soul that we've had up to date and linked it all together. Now, obviously, this is still evolving. I will leave a link for this in the description down below. If you want to go check that out, more than welcome. But I've had this theory right now for a very long time about somehow Yuji fulfilling some sort of technique or embodying some sort of technique that basically allows him to yoink people's souls. There's been this parallel since he fought Mahito about the I am you type parallel, and there's also this weird parallel, like I mentioned in the last video, how there is this weird trifecta going on between Sukuna, Mahito, and Yuji. They all seem to embody something, and as I said before, I can't quite figure out what it is. But as for how the fight would end, if it ended in a sort of showdown inside of an innate domain, honestly, I'm okay with that. All I want right now at this point is to see a straight 1v1 between Yuji and Sukuna. That's all I want. And if it comes to it, and these two are in their bodies, and what this soul that we're seeing right now is this soul of Sukuna is Yuji Kuna in this form, and he doesn't have his forearm form. The current Yuji that we have right now versus that Sukuna is a crazy strong and good fight, to be honest with you, and I think it is a really good way to see it. And because if your soul is how you truly perceive yourself, and that's how Sukuna truly perceives himself, I don't know, maybe there's something that Gege is gonna drop on us within this next chapter that really hammers it all home. But there's definitely more information to this Yuji Itadori domain that we have just not been privy to, and I really hope that it comes within this next chapter. I've seen a lot of people getting kind of angry that there might be a talk no jutsu type beat, but honestly, I mean, if you look at like the endings of Attack on Titan, where a long drawn out conversation had happened and it really nuanced and fleshed out all of these characters that we've grown to love. I mean, bro, I said for the longest time now, I would love a dialogue, and then they get to the point where we can't agree with each other. The only thing that we can leave to settle this is our fists. That is something that I've always loved, the idea of, quite personally. Why do you think they didn't use Yuta or Inamaki in the Higuruma plan? Since Yuta used the recorder, I've been wondering if Yuta just uses Don't Move on Sukuna, and when he does use it in his domain, his throat didn't bleed at all. I think there is definitely a reason that they forgot. Well, I think there is definitely a reason why this plan didn't quite happen. You see, a lot of the fights that's gone on with Sukuna right now is kind of luring him into a false sense of security to hit him with this. I mean, the culmination of Yuta's plan here, as he talks about, was the big trump card of his technique is that he holds two of the same cards, because most sorcerers assume that when he copies an ability, he steals it from someone else. But that's not always the case. Obviously, Angel can use her technique. But I think if the students all just ran out and jumped Sukuna, honestly, given what we've got right now, I legitimately believe it goes one of two ways. One, it surprises us and Sukuna actually ends up getting bodied. Or two, I truly believe he just one-taps every single one of them, because at the time that they would have jumped him, he would have been full health, full HP, just freshly reincarnated after dicing up Kashimo. He would have been chilling. However, a counterpoint to this, the Higuruma plan, what I will say is, instead of using Yuta or Inamaki, they chose to involve Yuji in this, and Yuji is obviously necessary for all of these plans for the soul damage. That is non-disputable. That is always going to be there. However, what I will say here is that if Maki was the one to grab the Executioner Sword rather than Yuji, I truly believe that they would have taken him out right there and then. I'm not going to lie to you. Maki didn't show up on the battlefield, and again, we were all Sukuna in that situation. We were all wondering, where is Maki? What is she doing? Why isn't she here? But I have to wonder, if Maki arrived on the battlefield at that given point, instead of Yuji, could we have stabbed Sukuna with that Executioner Sword and effectively killed him? There's a lot of points in this plan here where I think, yeah, sure, you know, if this happened, this would have happened. But I guess hindsight is 2020, right? I mean, you have to look at it from the perspective of the students. Obviously, Gege is telling a story, and it's easy for us as an audience to say, well, we know this information. Why don't these guys know this information? It doesn't always work like that. You have to put yourself in the shoes of the protagonist. There's a lot of stuff that knew about them that they didn't know he knew, and there's a lot of stuff that they know about him that he didn't know that they know, right? So there was lots of plans within plans within plans within plans. It was very much a very tedious plan to get through, but it is very exciting. But honestly, I don't think I would have changed anything at all up until this point, because if anything even remotely changed, we probably don't end up with the Yuji Itadori domain. I think this is the ultimate trump card that they've all been working towards, potentially. Well, maybe Yuji. I don't think... Maybe this was Yuji's own plan here, because, again, a couple of chapters ago... I say a couple of chapters ago. This was, like, you know, around, like, chapter 212. He talks about how once these guys are all happy and safe, he can just take Sukuna and die. And I'm going to be honest with you, that kind of thing has happened now a couple of times where Yuji has just talked about his willingness to die, and now we are in a situation where we're in foreign territory. We're uncharted territories here. We don't know what the fuck is going on. We've got Yuji sat in a train station after activating a domain expansion alongside Sukuna, and the last time we saw something like this, it was Gojo Satoru at an airport, and it was very strange, and it was very wow, insane to see. But yeah, I honestly, I do think that if certain plans had been changed, the chances of success probably would have gone up a lot higher than what they have been as of now. But story narratively wise, when you go back and read the whole thing in like a big binge read, I don't think it would hit the same. So I think that's one of those situations of maybe just let Gege cook. Trust the process, I think, for sure skis. What do you think Kenjaku's original plan for Yuji was? We know he was going to give birth to him with the intention of using him as a receptacle for Sukuna. By the way, the word receptacle for Sukuna, funny as fuck. As he had already had one of Sukuna's implanted into him in the womb, and I don't think him eating the second finger at the beginning of the series was planned. Kenjaku didn't seem to mind a lot if Yuji survived or not, even though he was the center of the storm. Do you think he planned to activate Yuji along with all the Cullen Game players, or was he just a contingency that wouldn't be used if everything went as planned? Honestly, I'm not sure. I have to hope and wonder, call this copium, but I have to hope and wonder and copium right here that Kenjaku is not entirely gone. I had a small conversation on Twitter with one of my friends here about this subject a couple of days ago, about how on the day of the merging, the Six Eyes and the Star Plasma Vessel appear. Now, I have to believe in my heart of hearts that Gege didn't just create Kenjaku, possibly one of the most intriguing villains that we've seen within Jujutsu Kaisen, the most mysterious one, the most well thought out one, the most planned one, just to have him go out to a sneak attack from Yuta. So I have to believe that there was definitely something more to him. I suggested the idea that there is a possibility that Megami might actually be the Star Plasma Vessel, because I've talked about this before, about Jujutsu Kaisen sort of going around in circles and just sort of emulating each other left, right, and center. It's kind of strange when you go around in it. It really does emulate it. There's just history repeating itself. It is insane, and I'm pretty sure that the title for Jujutsu Kaisen means like circular fight, or to fight and say. And someone can fact check me on that, but I remember someone saying how that was like the official like translation, like the Japanese to English translation. But I theorized with a friend of mine on Twitter the other day that what if these cursed objects that Kenjaku created and taught Sukuna how to do, what if the original one that he planted with inside Yuji is a way of Kenjaku sort of reincarnating into Yuji's body? I don't know how it would work. I'm not sure, but honestly, the fact that Jujutsu Kaisen constantly runs around in circles and constantly parallels itself, and then having the lines of, on the day of the merging, the Six Eyes and the Star Plasma Vessel appeared, it just makes me wonder if Megami is that Star Plasma Vessel, considering Sukuna took over his body and was gonna then eat Tengen, or did eat Tengen, and then he would have merged with humanity. I don't know. I feel like there is definitely something more. I've talked about this recently. Every time a Jujutsu Kaisen chapter comes out, I feel like there is just more. There's just something more, and we're just not quite there. I feel like I'm constantly being edged by Gege Akutami all the time, and Kenjaku is definitely one of those subjects where I feel like I am being edged on, and it kind of makes me sad a little bit, but it is what it is. But yeah, honestly, I think there is definitely more to Kenjaku. I would like to see Kenjaku come back, quite frankly. Because honestly, if the series ends and we don't see more of Kenjaku, or at least origins, something, you know, like, obviously, I feel like I've seen this theorized a lot, but the theory that Yuji's domain right now could bring us back into a High Era flashback is genuinely something that is a very strong possibility. But I do think if the series ends and we don't get to see more of Kenjaku, I do genuinely believe that would be a massive fumble from JJK. But I have to trust him. I have to let him cook. But yeah, also, where is my boy Hakari? Listen, I'm gonna be so real with you. I'm expecting one of two things for this next chapter. One, more craziness from Yuji Itadori's domain, or two, a absolute paradigm shift of just forget about Yuji's domain. We're back over. It'll be like a couple of hours prior or 20 minutes before Yuji Itadori activated his domain and we cut over to Hakari and Urumi. I don't know, man. Call me a skeptic, call me a cynic, but this just all seems to be going way too well, you know? It just feels a little bit Sukuna getting his RCT back and then hitting the black flashes and then getting caught in a domain when he could have just used Hollow Wicker Basket, and then there's Urumi, this wild card that hasn't been seen in a couple of chapters. It just feels a little bit scary, so I'm genuinely expecting either more Yuji Itadori domain madness and goodness from this next chapter, straight up perspective shift right over to Hakari, and we get to see what Hakari and Urumi have been doing for this entire fucking time, because they've been fighting for like, what, 36 chapters, 37 chapters right now? I think the official count, yes, the official count for the decisive battle in the uninhabited demon-infested Shinjuku is 36. 30 fucking 6. Those two have been fighting for that long. Well, minus like, what, 12 chapters? So yeah, over 20 chapters those two have been fighting for, which is crazy. That's wild, and to have Hakari potentially be named as one of the heavy hitters and someone that Gojo believes would be the strongest leading into the next generation kind of be sidetracked. That kind of makes me angry, you know, because especially when you see everyone else's growth that has happened over this time skip. I mean, look how powerful Yuji has gotten, look how powerful Yuta's gotten, Higuruma, look how powerful everyone has gotten against Sukuna. And to have one of the dudes who has arguably the coolest fight in the series, Hakari vs Kashima, was easily a top 5 fight for me personally within the series. Just to have him sidelined, that's pain, bro. That's pain, I will say. But anyway, listen, that is everything from me. Also, by the way, I've started a side project, bit of a shameless self-promo here. I've started a side project on Instagram at NotDynamicWeeb. You can follow me in the description below. I want to start posting a lot more frequently on Instagram. I just want to talk about more manga, more artwork. So if you want to go follow that, the goal is to try and get to 1,000 followers. So if you have an Instagram account, go follow that. That would help your boy out. Mucho appreciato. Anyways, that is everything from me. I will catch you guys all in the fucking next one. Much fucking love. Big fucking kisses. Peace.
You're the sunshine on my mind.